That's us. Welcome to the Krypton Report. What's up, James?
What's going on?
The
It was kind of weird.
Superman.
That was like 20 something, and then it was like,
Yeah, this ain't
let's
this
go.
ain't this ain't no movie where they count down to like one and then stop it. No, we just like bam. Here we go. Boom. Booyah. Booyah.
Right.
Um,
How's it
so
going? Did you have a
going
good day
well.
with Sayla?
I had today was Daddy Daughter Day. Watched a lot of Scooby Doo. I posted online. I officially kind of came up with like who my favorite like versions of each Scooby Doo character are. Um, and yeah, so um, so
Well, my favorite version of Shaggy is on Multiverses when he charges up like Dragon Ball Z
nice.
characters.
He's
It's
like
pretty
yelling
cool.
at you can. Uh, so yeah,
So,
how's your?
which I was playing some Multiverses, kicking some butt, playing as Superman. It's fun.
Nice.
It's fun. Yeah,
Of course you were.
of course.
We'll say, of course James was. But yeah, it's good to be back. This is our last recording for the month of June. Can't believe June is already leaving. Like it's yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird. What
Man,
do you?
half the year's freaking gone by so fast. It's like crazy. Um, I blinked and it was January.
Um, yeah, like Sayla and I were just walking around today talking, and it was like, oh, yeah, July starts. You've already been out of school for the summer for like a month and a week. Um, and yeah, it's just like, wow.
Um, yeah, today wasn't too bad. Well, yesterday I did a side job, installing an AC, and
That
uh,
sounds wonderfully fun.
and then Allura, honey, hey, Allura, baby, will you lay her down with you, please?
She is. She's mad. She is mad at you.
No, it's Paw Patrol. If it's not the right one,
Paw Patrol's horrible, man. They be taking you, like sucking you in. Then kids be wanting to be Ryder. All I can
there we
ask
go.
is, where's Ryder's parents?
All
Like,
right,
is
you
he
got
an
her.
orphan? Is he like this like alternate universe Tony Stark? Like
Yeah, he's like Tony Stark. Tony Stark is a better example because the kid's got this freaking technology out the butt, man. Like anything you need, he's got. Like he's definitely got to be like a young Tony Stark. I was almost thinking Jimmy Olsen inherited a ton of money. Um, but yeah, no, I did a side job yesterday installing an AC. So that was good time. Went smooth, wasn't too bad. And then went over to my dad's and chopped a whole bunch of wood, about four
mm,
hours. Uh, so chopped a ton of wood because he burns wood for heat mostly. He's got a wood burner. Um, so I usually help him every year chopping wood. And then got cleaned up and they took us out to dinner. So it was a long day, but it was real fun. Man, I hurt so bad. I was so sore last night.
sounds like a rough time. Rough time.
Yeah. It was a good time though. It was a good time. Productive and profitable day. And then today I got called into work earlier, but hasn't been too bad of a day. We stopped by Ollie's.
Oh, there we
Um,
go.
yeah, stopped by
Wait,
Ollie's. I was gonna swing by the comic book shop, but they didn't open for like another 45 minutes, at least a half hour, maybe 45. But anyways, so we drove by Ollie's instead and stopped there, and we were looking around there. We ended up just buying books getting out of there
That's
with just.
right.
But I
We
bought
will
two.
be.
I bought 2 books.
Yeah.
I got Grant Morris's JLA Earth 3, Earth 2. What is it? The book that Crisis on Two Earths was based off of.
Mm.
I picked that up, and it was a hardcover, and it came with a DVD and a Blu-ray of Crisis on Two Earths. So now I have 3 physical copies of that movie, and one of them's a Blu-ray, and I got that for like $5
So we're
there.
giving one away in a contest.
I'll
We
mail
had
you
a
a physical DVD.
tomorrow. I'll be announcing the winner of our digital contest winners.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Then I got. I know they came out with the omnibus or the compendium, whatever you want to call it, of the Grant Morrison Doom Patrol run. But I got volume 1 of Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol, and that was $6. So a couple of books from Ollie's. Yeah,
dude. We'll be talking about a certain book that we'll be reading here soon, and I got my collective trade from Ollie's, and I was like, "Yep, gonna pick that up." So I was like, "And
is that where you got? Is that where you got that one from?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's get into some news while the siren of Allura goes off here for poor James as he struggles to rocket her to Krypton. All right. So this is just something I was thinking of, like a wee bit of viral marketing, but wouldn't it be neat if Warner Brothers just released their own Daily Planet app and it had like fake news articles by the reporters from the Daily Planet staff, but like that's where they were giving us updates for the Superman movie, and like some of the pictures and stuff and talking about it, and had like a little bit of like join the Daily Planet like news team or something. I don't know. It could be a really interesting way of just marketing. Like if anyone remembers when they did the Man of Steel app, it was cool because it had one of those where you could take a picture and you could put Clark as Superman in the picture you took and stuff. So I don't know, that could be cool, but just a thought. But hey, if you're a convention goer, look at this exclusive. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. Isn't that the Death of Superman? Yeah, Funeral for Friends. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that looks sweet.
It's like, I think it's a San Diego Comic Con exclusive. I don't even know who's coming to Comic Con or what Comic Con is going to look like this year. So
Yeah, honestly, the only thing I saw was some things that Marvel's bringing to Comic Con this year, but they're saving certain things for D23.
that's what I'm saying. They just do everything at D23. Like, it's like I feel like we missed our window of like really getting to enjoy San Diego Comic Con. But
well, I don't think fandom's a thing anymore. So
yeah, bring
we'll
that back, James
probably,
Gunn.
yeah, right.
You should. It's
So we'll
just
probably be getting DC news at SDCC.
we'll see. I mean, they haven't announced it. Warner Brothers, I don't think, said they're going to be there. So I don't know, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, usually you hear who's coming, and I haven't heard Jack who.
Right. Well, between New York and San Diego, I mean, that's where we tend to get like our biggest announcements for things.
So okay, we'll see. Hey, but check this out. The title card for I don't know if it's the final season or just the finale of Superman and Lois, but that's the title card.
It's nice and gold.
I'm like, does that hint at something? I don't know. It's pretty cool. I'm like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks good. Superman and Lois behind, in front of a gold S.
So I didn't pull a picture of it up just because like I'm tired of like behind the scenes leaked pictures, but we got our first look at what Clark looks like on the street. You know, or in Cleveland. And speaking of Cleveland, what do you call it? Hawk Girl has officially landed at the airport as of today when we're recording this. So maybe we'll be seeing some Hawk Girl. Nathan Fillion's on set, but we haven't seen any Green Lantern yet.
Well, the interesting thing about his Clark, in my opinion, is we saw, at least, we knew from when Gunn became the director of Superman, that he's drawing a lot of inspiration from All Star, and David looks a lot like Clark from All Star. In All Star, Clark's hair is disheveled, kind of messy, and his suit is like baggy and loose, and he just doesn't look like put together. You know how like Chris
Mm-hmm.
Reeves was like all tight and button up in this nerd looking thing, he's looking more like down
Disheveled.
and disheveled.
James, did I lose you?
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. Like you just went
Okay.
silent for me. It was weird.
Yeah, there was some sort of cutout.
We'll figure it out.
But am I saying All Star? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, All Star. Okay, yeah. For some reason I was blanking, thinking that was something else. Yeah, looks like at least the Clark is fully pulled from there, and then we know the trunks are kind of pulled from there too, a little more short legs.
I mean, here we go. I don't care. But like, yeah, it's everyone's like riding on the hair. It's different enough. Like I think that's closer to like more of his hair and stuff. But like,
Yeah, from other images I've seen, they pulled pictures from another thing that he had done, and that looks a
yeah,
lot
it's
like
something new.
his
He's
a normal
it's about
hairstyle.
to come out. Yeah.
But you see
Um.
how his tie is like a little loose.
Mm-hmm. I like that
Yeah,
he's not wearing blue or red. Hello.
right. I like how he's
I don't
still
think.
got the.
Go ahead.
Oh, I like how he's still got the brown briefcase we see in a lot of versions, though. Just like the brown
Yeah,
leather briefcase.
I like it, and I like that. What do you call it? Like pearl tie. Cool. Goes with Lois. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gray. I think gray is the best color for him to have a suit. I don't think he should wear his Superman colors when he's Clark. Um, so that's cool. We
Yeah,
did get a.
brown,
I don't know. If
gray.
we did. We did get a picture of what I'm just referring to as the villain or a villain. Um,
Well, with the suit, I
because
mean, you might as well be on her.
so we have this image, okay, and it looks like Superman's being arrested by the military, led by the engineer, and then this picture cut it out, but you can see his boot. We have Rick Flag Sr., Frank Grillo on
It's
set.
on the left.
Yeah,
Um, to Superman's right, on the left of the picture, Frank Grillo is standing there. You can only tell it's him. It's like profile from the back mostly. Um,
and we've gotten other shots of just him on set. So they Frank Grillo's there, and so that's cool. Like Frank's there. But this, like I said, I just call it the villain. Um,
a villain.
yeah, like and everyone's like, is it Ultraman? Well, it can be. I can have it down to this: it's either Ultraman, Ulysses, or it could be some weird take on Midnighter. And they use there, and maybe they take it out in post, or they add stuff to it in post. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's
Yeah,
Ultraman, it's like Ultraman, kind of like Zoom was on the Flash. You know, but
yeah.
I don't want it to be Ultraman. I don't want it to be Ulysses. If it's like
Well,
a
I
different,
certainly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, if it's Midnighter, sweet.
Yeah,
But we all know how James Gunn likes D-list random characters.
yeah.
So
The thing that gets me is, so there's the one speculation out there that the villain is going to be Ultraman, who is a clone of Superman who's going to deteriorate into Bizarro. So there's a rumor out there that it's going to be this freaking like step that is going to be Ultraman and Bizarro, one and the same as the villain of this movie. Which I think is stupid in my opinion,
yeah,
making Ultraman and then him deteriorating into becoming Bizarro.
isn't that kind of a Red Sun
Um,
thing?
Yeah, that's like especially like the Red Sun. Yeah, especially like the movie that
Because
was done.
if that's the case, then I'm just gonna say like that's taking like the Marvel way out,
It is.
where the villain is the same as the hero.
Yeah,
I just like
and
I don't
and
want that because I don't think it's a great idea, but also like I know this is on film, okay? But we're Superman fans and we're plugged in and we've been watching the TV series Superman and Lois and stuff. And I'm like, we just kind of did that with Bizarro Doomsday.
yeah,
Um, I don't want that. I want something that's different, something more. Like it's intriguing that you're using the engineer and these characters from the Authority to build out your
yeah.
world.
The
So,
the thing that gets me with the U, the character with the U, and the fact that he's wearing this freaking this whole head covering with the goggles, you can't see a damn thing,
mhm.
is exactly that. Like he's on set and he's wearing this thing, this covering, so you can't tell who he is, and he's wearing this generic suit with this U on there, and it's like, well, are you just wearing it because David's going to be in this freaking suit doing a reveal as a clone of himself? Like, is
Mm.
that what it is? That's just it. That's stupid. That's the easy way out. Like you
Mhm.
said, it's just I I don't like that. And for the most part, I've been excited about having a new Superman movie coming. You know,
Yep.
even though it's not what I've wanted because I wanted what we had before, but I'm excited for something new. I want a DC universe to grow and for people to want to see it. But to do something like this, something that was just done last season on Superman and Lois, you know, and then and then just to give us this, the bad guy is just the good guy, but in reverse.
It's kind of to go back a step here. Um, what do you call it? Um, shoot. I
Got a
lost my
little
train of
heat in
thought. I know. I like it. I like
there.
it. I like your passion. But shoot, I totally just um
My bad. I ranted on you.
nah, you're good. I totally lost my train of thought. It goes back to what I was bitching about a while back about Logan. We did our X-Men ranking with Brian the guys. We were
Okay.
ranking all the movies, and I was talking about Logan about, oh, the big twist is it's old Wolverine fighting a clone of young Wolverine, and he's got to do this.
Yeah,
Yay.
that was the dumbest part of a great movie,
And that's why like I was talking about
in
like
my
why
opinion.
like what my issues with Logan were, and that was like one of the big ones that to me like really doesn't make it as great as it could have been. But that's another podcast and story. Um,
Yeah, they thought it was clever because
no, it's
she's a little clone of Wolverine, X-23. So, oh, X-24 is just Wolverine. Like, no, that was
no. Did you not understand like how Weapon 11 was the Deadpool and that everyone hated that? Like Deadpool. No,
I know.
nobody liked
I
it.
did expect more from James Mangold, but also when what they did with Silver Samurai in the Wolverine, especially with Harada as a character and then Silver Samurai as this mech suit, I'm not surprised that they freaking fumbled the end like that with the villain. Because the same thing with the Wolverine. I think the Wolverine is an amazing movie, but there are things about it that I just hate.
You heard it first.
Like,
James
it's
hates the
so
Wolverine.
good.
James hates the Wolverine. Everyone hate James. No,
Uh,
I'm
no,
I'm not
it's
as
such a good movie. I walked out of it like that is such a good movie, but I hate it. I hate it because of what they did. Like, but it's
I'm not
such
as
a good movie. I
I'm
was
not as big
torn.
on it as everyone else is. Like I'm not as because of yeah. That's all. Like I said, that's another podcast. But
Yeah.
so I just keep referring to this character as the villain, because I don't know what to say, and I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, they're doing this, or I just don't want to. I don't. I don't get tied up in that kind of thing. Like, oh, they're doing like speculation. So my speculation is just basically um what I said to you. Either like Midnighter, Ulysses, um, or it's nothing. It's
Right.
so but yeah, so that's that. Now we also got on the set Big Belly Burger.
Man, look at those prices. Is that for just for the burger? Or is that for the
Yeah,
meal?
that's for the burger.
Okay, well that's expensive.
That's why you were like cheap. I was like,
I thought it was the meal. I was like, man, I wish prices were like that again. Like, nope, that's today's prices.
I was like,
Everything's
geez.
too damn expensive.
You know, you were like, man, I wish that was cheap. I was like, what are you talking about? Because like, look, the fries by themselves are $3.25.
Oh, gee. Okay, so I was working, so I only like flipped through them.
And I was like, holy cow. But this is Big Belly Burger. I always think how the Big Belly Burger logo guy is always slightly different. Chicken sandwich, $6.30 for the sandwich. Looks good though. Looks good. But I'm like, and I like just we're seeing all these detail. Like, I didn't throw the photos up here, but we're getting a lot of stuff of like newspapers. Like Superman does this, Superman's done this, and it's pretty neat. Like he flew a bus of school kids that were like cancer patients at the children's hospital to, Egypt and everything to be on a trip. And it's cool, like stuff that we're getting. Superman fulfills a dream. But one of my things that caught me that was hilarious was someone was like, you know what this movie's about? Inflation. It's like, look at that Daily Planet. It's like $8.50 for the Daily Planet. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, totally, like inflation. Jesus.
Yep, that's called unchecked capitalism.
Um
Run rampant in America.
so you're wondering why everything's struggling. Well,
Yeah, when a newspaper costs you $8.50. Yeah.
the daily news. But I mean, I don't know. I've never been to like the big cities and stuff, so maybe you need like a daily big,
It's pick up the USA Today, man. Pick up the USA Today.
just
Still not that expensive, but I'm sure it's pretty expensive nowadays.
But all right, so that's all I have from the set. I didn't even know how far I was going to go into this, but the next big thing we have here is we officially got information from Lanterns has been greenlit for 8 episodes. Greenlit, get that pun? It will follow Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they are drawn into an Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. Which that sounds interesting. Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, right.
But I'm gonna trust the people who are making it, and I like that it's it'll be in this part of this universe, right? And it'll be 2 other Green Lanterns, so that if they pop into a movie later, we're not like, oh, who are these? We're gonna have Guy, Hal, John. All we need is Kyle and Jessica.
Right. Simon. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But to be honest, though, to get Simon, you have to get Sinestro and have his whole story done because Simon's ring was tied to Sinestro.
Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to Green Lantern. Bringing him in, it'd be sweet if we got Guy over on the Lanterns.
Just like one show, and it doesn't have to be there. Just be like, oh, we're reaching out. We have a message coming through from Guy Gardner, and it's like they're just talking through their rings.
A ring holographic cameo.
Exactly. That's all I need. Just something that connective tissue. Beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So that would be really cool. And then vice versa. You get Hal and Jordan. You can do after you do the Lantern show. And you introduce some things, you establish the world. They said Earth-based. You can do a movie with a larger budget with a cosmic threat.
I just don't want it to be like they come to Earth and all of a sudden, oh, we lost our powers. Oh,
yeah,
dang.
right.
And you're just like, oh, okay.
Oh, we lost our rings. Oh, yeah. You don't lose your rings. You're Green Lanterns. You don't lose your rings.
Okay, thanks, budget cuts.
Yeah, right. What is this, the CW?
Hal Jordan's jacket and a lantern.
Right.
And then a
green light
box.
in a box.
Red light, green light. This is cool. I just want to throw this out there. I really can't wait till this comic drops on the app so we can start reading this. This looks
Ooh,
like be fun read.
yeah.
Um, so I just want to give a shout out to the My Adventures of
Well,
Superman comic.
speaking of that, before we get to it, because I don't know if that's your transition to it, but um, Jamie said that that My Adventures with Superman is her favorite Superman show.
Yeah, good
We were
job, Jamie.
watching it this morning. She's like, "This is my favorite Superman show."
I don't blame her. Like, it's a good show. Like, it's hard. Um, but speaking of shows, we got official trailer for Batman Cape Crusader. James, I don't have a photo or a video clip or nothing of that to throw up, but what did your thoughts real quickly? This isn't we're not a Batman podcast, but thoughts on Batman Cape Crusader.
Um, yeah, I mean, I was iffy about like from that little teaser trailer. I was iffy about the uh Hamish's Batman voice, but actually getting it more in this trailer, I'm actually cool with it. It sounds good. And I'm more interested in seeing his how his Batman voice and his Bruce voice differ, how he works with both of those. Um, I
Yeah.
love the noir look. I think it looks really good. It's really reminiscent of Batman the animated series, but not quite. It's still different. It's very different in a lot of ways. Um, especially Harley Quinn's look. Characters looks like Clayface, Two Face,
Yeah.
things like that. I'm looking forward to it though. August 1st, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
August 1st comes out on Prime. I'm checking it out.
and now that we are technically about to start July, as of when this episode drops, it'll be July 1st, but we're recording it excuse me, on the last day of June. We're a month away. Month away, James. And
That's
there's some
cool.
interesting looking villains in that trailer, and I'm not going to break it down. Um, but yeah. So, all right,
Yeah, I only got to
boom.
watch it once. I didn't get to watch it repeatedly. I usually watch trailers a couple of times, 2, 3, 4 times before we get on because they're short, they're quick. But I only watched it the one time.
I usually end up watching like twice. I usually end up watching it once by myself when they first drop it, and then I watch it with the family.
Right.
But hey, it is time for My Adventures with Superman, Season 2, Episode 7, Olsen's 11, which is awesome.
I love that
Uh,
title.
uh, yeah, stuff's falling all over here. I'm being attacked. Um, I had predicted that this episode would probably not feature Superman, just because the way the last episode ended. I was like, watch we get like the reverse of the last episode,
Yeah.
where we see everything that happens that brings Jimmy Flamebird to Kara and everything. So, but Lois and Jimmy recruit mercenaries and mad scientists to help them steal a spaceship out from under the nose of Task Force X in Olsen's 11. Jeez. But this episode kicks off and Waller is like blaming Superman and declaring martial law.
Yeah. Using still images claiming that Superman is leading an army to Earth.
And then when someone talks about having an alternate video, she shuts down their broadcast and
Yeah.
takes the footage.
Yeah, no, that was messed up, man. I was like, that's some BS right there. Like no, private footage like that is not classified. You can't stop that from going out there. Like I saw that and I instantly was like, that is some bull. Like being able to shut it down like that, like stop the footage, shut down the broadcast, classified, like no, that's Like, that is an abuse of power. But yeah, it was that was crazy.
And then we find out that Jimmy and them are going to find, their plan is to find Livewire and that someone to help them steal the spaceship from Star Labs. And we find out Jimmy basically offers the rest of his money. He is now broke.
Right?
To Livewire and her girlfriend, who's Heatwave. Did we know that before this? No,
No.
that was a surprise.
Yeah. They were not featured in an episode together that I recall from last season.
Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. And then we have Mala and Brain show up, and it was cool because they say some stuff like Jimmy's their friend. Jimmy's been doing this stuff, and of course they're going to help their friend. And they tell about their adventure, like bouncing around, finding other versions of themselves, and just realizing there's
Other
nowhere else.
brains and
Yeah. So
I loved it though how they did this little animation, this little cheesy little animation, like the Japanese cherub stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was wearing his sweater and his glasses, and you got the little arm, the brain with the arms and stuff floating in the sphere. And then they come across Monsieur Mala with the strap with the like they use for like to load ammo and stuff. I'm blanking on the name. I know what it's called, but I'm blanking on the name of it.
His Rambo belt.
Yeah. He's wearing that and his beret, and then like they fight, and he comes out with it. He's got the beret and the stuff on.
It was good times. And then so they start talking about their plan.
They said, hold on. They said they kicked us out of the universe we went to because we created another unstable black hole.
I was like,
stop making black holes.
That's their thing, man.
Right?
We see Silver Age Nursing Home.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was funny. But when they're talking about their plan, then we go at plan B. And like it's like everything exploding behind Jimmy, and he's like, no plan B. Sayla was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I like plan B. She's like,
right.
And she was going crazy on it. It was so funny. And Jimmy is just like, no plan B.
Yeah. Oh. We're not blowing up the entire building.
So then we get to hold on, I was gonna bring this up. Our art image right here is the shot of Jimmy saying no to what plan B is right there.
Well, you see the image too. They've got Mick, they've got Heatwave just on the leg like Leia is on the Star Wars poster on Luke on Livewire's leg. I love it.
like no. But when they get in there and Jimmy's talking to the one guy about his grandma and everything, and they're like, don't say her first name. Don't say her first name. I'm Jimmy. It's like, oh.
Right. Like, you are not good at this.
But we find out that Lex has Project M. And as soon as they said Project M, Solomon goes, Metallo. He's like, Metallo, Dad. So Mark Solomon's words. Project M will circle back around.
Weren't the machines that Amertech came up with, weren't those Metallos?
I think so.
They made Metallos out of steel.
This is the problem that I have. Yeah, they did. But he's talking about powering with an alternate power source and stuff. Like, this is what happens when you start.
Yeah, I think it's watching a kryptonite power source.
Reading so many different things. And I think I told Solomon is my prediction maybe is that because it looks like they're automated, okay? But there'll be one that'll be probably a mixture of Metallo and Lex's armor. Mm. It'll be a suit. They might combine like the idea of the Metallo suit with Lex Luthor, and Lex will have to shave his head to like plug into the suit. It'll be a mixture between like the Lexo armor and Metallo. That's kind of my thought. Just kind of by the way that they've been doing things on the show.
Right.
But we have like a square off between Wilson and Lex, with Waller talking to him, and
I do love how that comes back around though.
Yeah, And the whole thing is the project, the M or whatever, like they're only at like 10% operational because he's not, he's working on them, but he says I'm re-engineering alien tech. So anyways, we find out that they're doing like a really cool where they like loop the cameras thing, and we see that one of the cameras screws up because the one image has the guy with the donut here, and then all of a sudden he doesn't, and he's holding coffee, and Waller's like,
it's back.
Like, we have a security breach. And that's when Livewire cuts out on them. And, they're trying to escape. And this is where, shortly when they're getting in the ship, and they're trying to get out of there, Jimmy and Lois have a little bit of a argument because she finds out, like, you're describing a date. You went on a date with Kara? And Jimmy's like, yeah.
Yeah, because she's bringing kryptonite to use against Kara.
And she's like apologizing, like about being in love with Clark and what she would do, and how she has to make things right and all this. And what we find out is, as they're trying to get the ship off, and they think so, Lois and Jimmy get there, and like the ship's damaged or whatever, and they can't take off. But then Brain and Mallah show up, and they're like, "Oh, we wouldn't abandon you. We wouldn't leave you guys." And they're fixing it, and they're trying to get out of there when here comes, Slade and all of them, and Livewire shows up with Heatwave, and they're fighting them all off, and the Metallo suits are coming out, like robots. And there's a quote that they say, like, she says basically the real plan was for her to abandon them, like they did, and then steal all the weapons and stuff from the armory, which they did.
Yeah, steal everything that wasn't bolted down.
Which why they were distracted by Jimmy, and so her and Heatwave had already planned this. And then she said when she was listening in, and everything she was saying, it got to her because she says, and I quote, "Love is not for cowards," and that touched both of Heatwave and Livewire, that love was not for cowards, and so they came back to help.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Project M is now top priority.
Yeah.
Because Waller's like
10%. 10% they held off tech, alien tech, and whatever it was.
Yeah.
10% power. Top priority.
And then the episode ends. It doesn't show us, like I thought, the same shot that we would have seen last week. It shows them just kind of looking at Kara, and she's like holding the ship.
Yeah, so they go through the portal. They're flying at like hyper speeds or whatever. They're going through the portal, and Mallah is like, the repairs aren't holding together, and they stop instantly. And Kara like catches the ship and stops them.
Jimmy Flamebird? Ah.
Right.
But I like this episode. Like I said, I told, it sucks in one breath because we're at episode 7,
of 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only have 3 more to go, and it's just like, oh man.
But it's going to be really interesting how they jump into the next episode. I can't wait to see it. Lois, Jimmy Flamebird, Kara, and the last place we left Kara was she is starting to remember the things that she's not supposed to remember, all the planets that she was forced to destroy because of Brainiac's control, things like that. So it'll be really interesting to see where she's at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the next episode.
So it's going to be great. 7, 8, and 9 coming up. So
it'll be really interesting how far it goes, because we know that Brainiac wants to use Superman as a weapon and also go take over Earth. And so is it going to get that far? Is it going to be Superman is going to be used as a weapon against Earth, and he is actually going to attack Earth and kind of like justify Waller's stuff?
If they do that, I'll be so mad. That goes back to like the evil Superman tropes and stuff. I'll be so mad.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing that Darkseid did in the animated series.
Right. And
brainwash Superman and use him against Earth, but he fought it. He got away from it.
But that was also a Superman who already run over Earth's trust and everything. This Superman's still trying to make himself trustworthy. And I think if they did that now, no one would ever, he'd never be able to win people's trust.
Right. But I do think there's a difference in the evil Superman stories and the or the mind controlled Superman stories. Those are
Oh,
two separate things.
there is, but a lot of people won't think that. They'll just
Me,
like, oh,
me personally, I feel I like the evil Superman stories because, in my opinion, there isn't anything scarier than having somebody that powerful being an uncontrollable villain.
I mean, you're absolutely correct. And I want to say, like, I'm with you, except I just feel like in a lot of media and everything we've gotten more of it. But to me, it has to be a story where, kind of like Injustice in the comics, people, where you have Clark and it's a path to darkness for Clark himself. Because
Yeah,
that's when it's the scariest. Not like some ultra version that was always bad, or it's seeing the fall from grace.
yeah.
But all right. So our next topic, the New 52 Superman, Volume 5, Under Fire. I'm Tyler, your Batman for the evening. This is my Batman voice.
Oh, that's your Batman. I thought that was your movie voice.
I don't know.
In a world
where comics make no sense. All right. So
in a
this
world where your trade makes no sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read you the description. In the wake of Psy-War, Lois Lane lies deep in a coma, unable to speak, but her newfound powers allow her to astral project times of need. It is just this power that brings the power-hungry creature Parasite to Metropolis in search of Lois.
So we
Is
never
there
saw Lois
anything? Hold
in
on.
a coma. I'm sorry. You didn't
Is there
finish. I thought you were
anything
done.
the Man of Steel can do, or will to lose his best friend? The Man of Steel faces villains attacking Metropolis from all sides. And Superman Volume 5 collects Superman number 25 through 31. Okay. I'm done.
So my question, yeah, sorry. I thought you were done. The
No, you're
pause
good. You're good.
confused me.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah, right. Did we see? I do not remember reading in the last one because that was hell. That was hell on earth.
No, a Psy-War.
No, 3. Okay, 3 was hell on earth.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the end of Psy-War, was she in a coma? I do not remember her being in a
Yeah,
coma.
because she pops up and says, like, in the book, the end of it, I don't remember where she was, but she pops up from the coma and says Superman, and then all of a sudden she's the one that like stops the Psy-War, her astral projection self.
Okay. I don't remember her going into the coma. I do remember her astral
Well,
self.
yeah, we don't remember her going into the coma, and that's part of this problem that we're uncovering.
Was that in like Superman and Wonder Woman or
I think it
Superboy
was
or
an
Supergirl
action.
or
I think
something?
it was an
Maybe
action.
Yeah.
So this volume, for all of our listeners out there, is the most messed up, jacked up volume of comics. If you were just reading Superman, you would be so pissed and lost right here. Because this set is like, hold on, I'm grabbing my iPad. It's like 2 issues that tie into one, the fallout from Hell on Earth, jumping back to that, with the Return to Krypton Part 4, which I had to go and read. Okay, like I went and read the whole Return to Krypton or Krypton Returns, whatever it is, set. I read all 4 parts from the different books.
From the different books, Action, Superman, Supergirl, and Superboy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we had that nice run of 23.1, 23.2, 23.3, and 23.4, which were all these villain books. And I took notes on all of them real quick just to kind of talk about it, because I actually busted out and took a lot of notes just with each issue. But yeah, this thing is just so jacked up because it's so broken up. There's not a really strong, cohesive story. Because we're gonna say this: if you were to just read this trade, you would be so lost. Okay, because this trade starts with the fallout of Psy War, which was Volume 4. It picks up elements from Hell on Earth, and it has a tie-in. Like I said, the first issue is issue 25, which is basically shows you where. Let me get my notes out. Hold on,
So,
I gotta do
so
this
you're
right.
talking about the first. I was gonna say I can describe the first issue.
So issue 25. Go ahead if you want.
Okay, so this issue is Superman, Superboy, and Supergirl are all at different times in the time stream on Krypton. You find out that Hell was not a person, that he was a mass of cells sent
Yep.
out into space.
that
Um,
that came together through radiation and became its own consciousness. And
yeah,
his book. So if I go back to it, because I really think these books should have been in this trade, is 23.3. And the big thing to come out of that is that Hell creates himself. He's there to make sure that the cells, and he sends the cells out, so thus creating himself as a paradox,
yeah,
which goes back to what we talked about, over convoluted. And then it says, we'll continue in Action Comics Annual number 2, which is the action tie-in to the first part, which is the return of Krypton.
okay. So Supergirl is in the far past during the clone revolution, which turns out the history books were kind of wrong in how the events went, because you know how history is written by the winners. The losers are always the bad guys, the evil people or whatever. So but they don't go into any of that. That's just kind of what they say. She's in the far past during this clone war on Krypton. And then Superboy is on Krypton the last week before it explodes. And in this issue, he's like there like hours before the explosion. And
Yeah.
then Superman is like in this future Krypton that never got destroyed. So he is in an anomaly, a time anomaly of Krypton that never got destroyed. He got sent away because Krypton was supposed to be destroyed, and then it wasn't destroyed. So Jor-El was imprisoned as this doomsday man, this crazy guy spouting the end of the world, and he was imprisoned for it. And this is like 30 years in the future, and Jor-El is an old man.
This is the first time I sent you where we see Lara Von L is what they call her. And I thought that was interesting. Because we've talked about how like Kryptonian women, their names always get weird. But I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like her old last name and her new last name. Kind of like when people hyphenate their names.
Yeah, it was very weird. So anyways, but in this issue, my question to everyone was, does anyone really understand what the Eradicators are? I feel like that's just a term they throw around in every Superman lore project, like Eradicator,
right?
Eradication. Like they're, I think the best version was the one from the Death of Superman animated film, but it's so like they just use the Eradicators as a default for whatever they need.
Yeah. The Eradicators in this aren't like the Eradicators in the New 52 in this version kind of make a good amount of sense, where they are these beings that are birthed at the end of a planet's life cycle, and they're there to just ensure the destruction of the planet because it's happening. But it's when they're destroyed by natural causes. So if something destroys the planet that's not natural, no Eradicator is supposed to be born or something like that.
Yeah,
It's very interesting. I don't know
it
that it's
is.
like a great version or nothing.
Yeah, it just gets convoluted when you keep using Eradicators. But I found this interesting is we're in the New 52, and they did this in War or in Hell on Earth. Sorry, they start talking about the Omniverse,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't that? I thought the Omniverse was a newer thing that they came up with and really made it what it was recently in comics. But no, they're talking about the Omniverse back here.
Yeah, but it might just be something that they were seeding back here.
Maybe I'm just saying, like, it's something that I was like, oh, that's part of like this retread into this territory.
Well, because
But
we know that the New 52 kind of went into Rebirth. So the New 52 isn't something that didn't exist. It's just
yeah,
something that was a small time period in the overall existence of the DC universe as
and
it is
somehow
now.
it all happened
Yeah.
into Rebirth. We'll eventually get back to just doing Rebirth like this, probably in 2029. I haven't started mapping 2029 yet. Rebirth might be a good time. I don't know. Just look at
Uh,
the first parts of Rebirth, maybe. I don't know,
who
but
knows?
2029. Just saying that's kind of scary. Like
Right.
40, I'll be 44. Like it's weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got a
Oof. Yeah.
shudder on that one.
I know. Like, but
Yeah.
then the end, it ends like, and it kind of felt like Superboy died.
Yes,
Like
the
this version of
interesting thing is
Superboy.
that they're all fighting hell in different times. Like hell is existing in all these different times. And
So
then yeah, like Superboy is the really cool thing, honestly, like you said, like it does seem like Superboy dies with Krypton, like he just poof, just blows up with Krypton, is with his tactile telekinesis, he is able to send Argo, the city of Argo, out into space. So is Superboy the one in this time? Is this version of Superboy the one who rescued Argo?
yeah.
Well, I don't. There's a lot of things because how does Argo exist?
I
If the
mean,
entire planet exploded, you don't just get this one chunk that floats off and exists. You know what I
it's just
mean?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, because
so
usually
it kind of makes sense that somebody saved it. You know what I mean?
it yeah. I mean, it makes more sense of like, oh, that's how it happened. Like, okay, compared to what we've seen sometimes. So, but yeah, it's just one of those like, uh, it's just like, okay, like I just trying to wrap your head around like, but then get around like, is that even still canon anymore? Like, uh, because there's so much that they keep changing. Like in here's like talks about why Krypton exploded. Well, then Bendis comes in and changes that. Why
I was
Krypton
just
destroyed.
I was just thinking about that. I listened to a podcast where they were talking about the first issue of Bendis's Superman, and I was just thinking about that. Like Rogolzar, Krypton was purposefully destroyed by this person, and these beings were like, and this like Illuminati group of beings were like, yeah, whatever, let it happen, or it should happen, or something. And then he aged John up, and the thing that got me early on too was Lois Lane. She's gone for what, 3 days, 3 weeks, but then she's back on Earth for like 6, and she doesn't contact her husband at all.
Yeah,
Like so stupid, you
yeah,
know? Like,
yeah.
yeah, our
There's a,
son is out in space with your father. I've been back on Earth for a month and a half, but I have nothing to do with you,
hey,
my husband.
we've had this
So
conversation where it
stupid, dude.
feels well. If you go back and look at where they were ending the Rebirth DC universe at that time before Bendis came in, it's like they truncated that story. They threw it into the Man of Steel miniseries kind of thing and tried to let Bendis clean up and start where he wanted to. You can get rid of all. It was like he just came in and was like, I want to do this. Nah, this stuff right here, I gotta get rid of all this. So we're gonna do this miniseries. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna do this, and then I'll start my actual books.
I did Superman books, and now I'm gone. I ain't doing crap. Like,
So But that's how it ends. Now, issue 26, the high points I have is Lois can astral project. Wonder Woman loves Clark. Sam Lane is in the Senate, and Veritas has got a hologram of herself communicating, and Parasite shows up. I say all that because Parasite shows up, but if you go back and you read 23.4 is Parasite, and we get it's an actual origin book. And these were some of the more fun books during this villain time where they did all these villain books because some of them were origins and some weren't. Like Hell was kind of an origin. But Parasite is the character Joshua Michael Allen.
Yeah.
And it's not, Rudy Jones or anything in this. This Parasite is really grotesque compared to what we've had before. But yeah, issue 26 was just but
so I mean, I like the thing of Parasite. Speaking on those 23-point villain books, I want to buy the Omnibus collection because they collected all of those villain books in one book. It's like $150, but it's that whole villains month across the board, all of them, because every book had them.
Yeah, and I mean, like you look at them, if you pick up one of those issues, or if you get the digital and you just look at the issue, and in the back it shows you all the different villain books. And I remember, like at this time, I was buying the comics regularly at the shop. I was living in North Carolina. This is when I was really hooked in, and I was buying a lot of titles because I remember this when this villain thing came out is when I had some being held for me, and they were the ventricular, however you say it, covers. And I just remember like, no, if I don't get
the lenticular covers.
Yeah. If I don't get those covers, I save $1 off each book. I can buy another book.
Right.
But yeah, it shows you at the end of each issue all the villain issues.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. I thought that was a really cool time, in the New 52 when they did all those books. Very interesting, just stories, because you only ever get those stories in like some sort of explanation as to what happened to your characters. You don't always get those stories on all your villain characters, but to have them have their own issue, to see like them experience this stuff firsthand, I thought that was really cool at the time. I remember at the time this was coming out, I was actually buying some digital comics. I was buying the Justice League comics in the New 52. I was buying Smallville season 11 at the time.
I was buying those
and,
in trade.
I was buying Deathstroke. I was reading Deathstroke at the time. The New 52 Deathstroke was pretty good.
There was a podcast called Distressed Citizens Radio. So it's DC Radio. And those guys every week bought every DC book and reviewed them and talked about them. And I listened to that podcast, and it helped me stay up to date on everything going on in the DC world at the time. And yeah, it was interesting.
At the time Rebirth was going on, I was listening to DC Comics Squadcast, and they were covering the Rebirth books at the time. That's how I kept up on all those at that time.
Yeah, until the app, because my big reading, like when I got caught up, I read almost everything the New 52 had printed. I got from the library because I just was trying to catch up, because we were at the start of the second year, I think, going into so yeah, it was like we were in the second year, towards the beginning, when I really started diving back into hardcore reading. Okay, so issue 27 starts, it's called Feeding Frenzy, and Parasite is after Lois. Parasite absorbs around him. So he doesn't actually have to touch you. Like he can absorb energy and stuff around you, because we have Clark talk about feeling being drained when he's near Parasite. And Cat and Clark News,
Yeah, his power. He says his power is proximity based.
yes, Morgan Edge offers a 13 million buyout for Cat and Clark News's blog.
Yeah, ClarkCatropolis.com.
And um, and there's discussion about, could Parasite save Lois because of what's happening to her, and there's a part where like Lois knows Clark's secret in this, and he talks to her, and there's a moment where she says like, yes, I'm going to tell everybody when I get out of here. And it makes you question, would she really have told the biggest news story that Clark Kent is Superman? And I don't like this time is weird because, like we've talked about, you have these two characters talk about how good friends they are and how much they care about each other, but we haven't got to experience that as much.
Yeah,
Because now they're separated again because of like jobs. So the fact that would she come out of her coma having this story and been like, yep.
well, also at this point in this story, like I don't know if that's just her or if that's Brainiac influence. Because
That's,
we're not gonna cover it
so
later
just
on, but
throwing this out there for everybody listening. This book's last two issues is 30 and 31. We're not going to talk about those in volume 5 because that's going to be part of a deeper discussion on a topic next in July. Those books will be rolled over into another topic, because we have a special guest coming, and we've wanted to talk this storyline forever. So we're kind of breaking our rules of trades.
That book is like
doing
500 pages.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And we'll skip over a lot of it probably because a lot of it's just like filler.
Yeah, but we see then what we see later on in this book is she's got like this psychic ability and the psychic control, but she also lies to people, lies to Clark, lies to people, you know what I mean, about what's happening, like her doing these things. So I think there's some Brainiac influence there. Would she rat her best friend, or is that Brainiac influence like either
That's strong.
pushing her or like like trying to affect Superman in a psychological way?
And then at the end of this book, our good pal Hellspawn returns for no reason, really. So
Yeah.
Like I said, this volume is all over the place. I had to read so much other stuff to understand this volume. Issue 28, Under Fire, starts with Lois in a firefight because she is out of her coma and she doesn't remember Clark because he used he used Parasite to quote unquote heal her.
Yeah,
But he risked
what I was
Lois, is what they said.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. He wasn't sure about what was going to happen, and he questions himself in his inner monologue. He questions himself if it was the right thing to do using Brainiac, because the only thing that happens is when after Parasite touches Lois for the first time, absorbs some of her abilities for the first time, and Superman gets her out of there. He talks to her, and normally she psychically talks back to him through her coma, but she's not doing that. So he thinks that's like taken from her with the powers with Parasite. So he just believes like, oh well, maybe he won't kill her, but maybe he'll just take her psychic powers.
Yeah.
Like that's a hell. I know Superman does a lot of risks. We've seen that countless times. He takes risks. All superheroes take risks, and is the risk going to pay off? That's a big risk.
Dude, know it.
Under Fire, firefight.
But so we're like in a new part where we see Superman's in the like flying, and Dr. Veritas pops up. There's like a wormhole door, like a literal door in space. And she tells Clark not to open it because it could basically create a singularity black hole and suck the Earth into it. We find Jimmy in Clark's apartment, and remember, Jimmy's rich, and he says to Clark, "Hey, I see all these overdue notices." And he's like, "I could buy the building and you could live here for free, or I could even buy the block if you want." And I thought that was really
It
funny.
might even own it already. I should look into that.
And we see Sam Lane getting some from Gladys. Did you read it as Gladys or Gladdy?
Gladys.
That's why I did it, because I thought Gladdy just sounded weird. Uh, but then we have the discussion between Clark Kent and Kat about the buyout, because Clark's been kind of AWOL and Kat hasn't been getting a hold of him because, and we'll learn about this in a different book, but Clark Kat Tropolis broke the Superman and Wonder Woman love story. They also broke that Sam Lane is going to be in the Senate. But Clark is wearing a Flash shirt, which Sayla loved when I showed her that panel.
Nice.
And, he believes in Kat, what she stood for, and they're not going to sell. And she's excited because they're actually going to do this together. Because Jimmy makes the comment about, if someone's offering you money like that, it usually means you have a story they don't want out and they want to shut you down. So issue 29 is 1,000 Degrees in the Shade. And this has Starfire.
This issue connects to Red Hood and the Outlaws, because that's Roy Harper in the seat, because Roy Harper and Starfire are a thing in the New 52 in Red Hood and the Outlaws.
But this goes back to, I think, our Hellspont, because the Daomites, right? Am I right with that?
Yeah, with the Hellspawn. Damonites.
Yeah, whatever.
That's how I pronounced it. So however you want to say it.
But basically, they're killing these people that are basically, surrendering themselves to get power, that are more husks of people. And there's a discussion about how Starfire is not Superman's friend, and they find this little kid named Timothy, and we find out that he is also power. They have to fight him. And in this issue, the most important thing I felt that happened was Kat turns down Morgan Edge about the money, and he's like, you can tell he's upset about that, and that there's
half his face is in shadow, so
of
course he's mad.
So, and that's where, like I said, that's where we're going to stop with this book, because issue 30 and 31 go into the story that we're going to cover, which, like I said, if you were just reading this Superman straight, this is where I would really be pissed off, because this whole thing is chunks of other tie-in events and other books. There's no real issues that kind of really, maybe 27 and 28 or 26 to 27 kind of work. But at the same time, there's other threads that go to other things. Like, just a quick rundown here. 23.2 is Brainiac. And we learn that it's kind of a reverse story of like a Jor-El kind of thing, where we learn about Viril Drox and how he's experimenting on his son, and how he brings, Doom Kalu, and how he brings about its destruction and basically turns into Brainiac. He gets exiled off the planet, then comes back more as the Brainiac we know. He has a wife, and Lysol. I kind of pronounce it Lysol. That's what it looks like, minus the O. And then the more interesting one was 23.1 is the Bizarro. In this, we have Lex experimenting with human DNA, trying to inject the superpowers into human DNA. And we have Bobby as subject A0. And We found out that human DNA and the alien DNA don't mix, which is interesting that Lex is having this issue. But yet, that's still kind of the story of how Connor got to be, was human DNA and cloning. And the New 52, like their version of Superboy.
Right.
But Bobby eventually his cells start absorbing power and growing, and he eventually explodes. And Lex talks about what he'll do different and how he can do it better. It'll take time and all the different things he'll have to do, but it'll be worth it over. And we see subject B0.
Yes. Yes, because subject B0 is our Bizarro.
In the New 52,
And
yeah.
yes, in the New 52. And he is introduced in Forever Evil.
And that's what we're kind of starting to set up. We still have so we're doing these villain books here, which is interesting. I didn't realize that they're all 23 point something, but Forever Evil is not here yet because we still have our next event with Superman. Then we have Trinity War. Then we get into Forever Evil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was thinking that these villain books were closer to Forever Evil, but we still have to get through Trinity War.
Right. I like Forever Evil. I've read Forever Evil a couple of times. I like that one.
I haven't read it since it came out. Like, I've read Trinity War though, because I bought that big trade at Ollie's. The big companion trade of like of all of it tied in together at Ollie's.
Yeah.
For a while there, if you wanted
that
anything
was the sorry, what?
No, if you want anything New 52 comic related,
Oh yeah, hit up
Ollie's had it.
Stuff.
and Rebirth, like those trades, like they had so much.
Yeah.
Got caught up on some stuff. And like stuff I already had. Like, and I had just the like maybe I had just like the Superman or just the tie-ins, but it was just so cheap to buy the whole thing or just buy it all collected in one book. I was like, I'll just rebuy it.
Yeah. Well, Ollie's is really cool for that. The interesting thing, we're talking about the New 52 and this trade specifically. We've seen a lot of it in other trades, but this one's like hardcore. Is the events of New 52. Like these books and stories, we were talking about how they were written for trades, but there was a point there where they were written for events, and you have to buy the event book to get all of them. We're talking about Superman Doomed, and we're going to get into that, but that has Superman, Supergirl, Action, that has and Superman and Wonder Woman. That has all of those issues from all of those. Like, it's an event book, and that's how the New 52
does it have Batman
turned into.
Hold on. Let me.
Oh, and Batman Superman. That was in there. Yeah, those were in there too.
Because I have here it is. Superman Doomed has 2. That's gonna be our special we're gonna be doing. We allude to surprise. It has Superman Doomed number 1 and 2. So it starts with number 1 and then it ends at number 2. It has Action Comics number 30 through 35. Action Comics Annual number 3. Superman 30 and 30 through 31. Superman Wonder Woman 7 through 12. Superman Wonder Woman Annual number 1. Supergirl 34 and 35. Batman Superman number 11. So, yeah, it's a chunk.
Yeah, it is.
But so this is our last recording for June, as stated. July, we're going to take a break from the New 52 reading. We are actually going to jump back into some more recent comic events that are coming to conclusion, and into the only New 52 we'll kind of touch on will be the Superman Doomed event, because we've been wanting to talk Doom for a while. We have a guest who wanted to talk with us.
Yeah, we have talked about Doomed for quite a few years.
Yeah, we've talked around it, and we thought we'd finally get to it. And because we will be returning with Superman and Lois in October with Doomsday, and this is an interesting thing with Doomsday, and we'll talk about that more later. But thanks for checking us out. Check us out, kryptonreportpod@gmail.com for anything. Let us know thoughts on the show if you want to be part of the show. reach out via emails and we can talk from there. I am Tyler. This is James. Thank you for being here. And remember that on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern, we're watching along Superman the Animated Series. You can't join us. You could join us like this, or you could just watch along. It's been fun. We're 2 episodes in so far. It's been a good time. So, James, any final thoughts today before we head on out to greener pastures?
Up and away.
And remember,